大家好，今天是2021年3月21号星期日啊，我们现在是早晨的10点14分啊，今天是美东时间的上午10点14分啊，我们现在是在纽约的 Union Square 啊，美国纽约曼哈顿的 Union 广场啊 ，Union Square 联合广场为大家做现场直播的报道。因为这个亚特兰大的枪杀这个亚裔的这个事件，所以说现在在全美各地啊，都开展了这个声势浩大的这个反对仇恨亚裔的一个活动啊。这是纽约的一个主会场，我们现在是在联合广场啊，为大家做现场的直播啊。This is the New York Manhattan Union Square. This is a protest. Yeah.I'm Star TV 第一直播I'm New Jack report. Thank you. 这个是华盛顿这个是先贤华盛顿骑高头大马的铜像这个是全美第一座华盛顿骑马的这个铜像纽约联合广场是这个 Hi, how are you? Good morning. Thank you. Good morning.Everybody, thank you. 我们现在是在纽约的 Union Square纽约曼哈顿 Union Square have a protest. 他们过来了我们不能过去。等会儿看，如果我看情况，因为我过去信号就没了，我知道在里面很多。Everybody, thank you. Mr. Jack today. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Wanting land. Yeah, thank you. 不存在太乱，就是我们这个亚裔今天是非裔和亚裔联合起来反对这个种族歧视的这个一个活动今天是在因为在全美各个城市开展在这个前几天在华盛顿的唐人街已经开始了因为咱们这个亚裔有咱们华人和这个韩裔的打出了不同的标语口号，而且有很多非裔也加入咱们阵营，就反对这个种族仇恨的这个犯罪Thank you， 那先生，大家好。以后联合个拉丁裔就全了，谢谢。这是联合广场联合广场是美国纽约曼哈顿这个下层的一个非常有名的一个地标性的广场它很多的这个政治游行和这个演说都是在这里，这是一个可以说是每次纽约游行的发源地就是在这里这里紧邻这个纽约大学所以说很多的年轻的学生都会经常到这里举行一些抗议活动你先开始你进去看看信号怎么样我在这等信号好我再过去，你就站这个位置我再下来。你好你站
这个你拍的好清楚
是吧？你也拍视频，你也是媒体的？
我不是媒体我是一个中国新闻。
好，谢谢。再采访你一下，为什么今天来我是第一直播的，Star TV 没关系，讲两句嘛。为什么来参加？真的，这是作为华人，为什么来参加？
作为中国人当然要来没有多大能力，尽量的去。我不会讲，反正我就知道我很爱国。
你讲的非常好，你就说我是你刚才说的非常好，这就是简单朴实不是华人，应该我们说到这儿就是华人或中国人都可以是吧？我们作为华人，我们在美国了嘛是吧？我们作为华人，你讲的非常好，就是说我没有多大能力，但是我可以来就一份子来参加。好，谢谢你走。 怎么称呼？能不能讲个或者英文？
姓陈。
啊，陈小姐，好，谢谢啊。你看现在很多这个咱们华人啊，还有亚裔的啊，都过来了来支持啊。刚刚这位陈小姐说的非常好啊，非常朴实，但是非常的这个听起来非常实用性啊，就是说我们虽然没有多大能力，但是我们来了，参与了啊，就是对这个活动的支持啊。啊，有人说呢不错，还有人说小姐姐不错。啊，可惜你不在美国啊，你在德国是吧 ？OK， 还有观众德国的。今天的信号怎么样？今天的天气不错啊，阳光明媚啊。我们是在纽约的时代广场啊，阳光明媚的一个天气啊。哎，我们是E-Star TV 第一直播 YouTube 的，可以看一下。我帮你讲话。今天的天气非常的好啊，今天是老天爷帮这个忙啊。我播报一下天气啊，今天纽约市是晴间多云的天气，摄氏12度啊，摄氏12度。这个华氏是54度啊，一个晴朗的天气啊，阳光明媚啊。今天这个纽约的联合广场聚集了非常多的这个亚裔和这个亚裔还有非裔的，还有其他族裔的啊，都来声援这个反对这个来声援咱们亚裔啊。好的。Be careful. Okay. No problem.主播走一圈，好，等一会儿啊，这个机位等会儿留着。好，我给大家介绍一下啊，纽约的Union Square 广场 ，Union Square 广场是这个活力四射的联合广场区，是最引人注目的，就是属于当属同名的步行广场及公园，是众多白领、街头艺术家、学生乃至示威者的常去之所。 呈现一派热闹的景象啊。周围的街道两旁遍布高层公寓啊，知名连锁店、休闲餐馆和咖啡馆。联合广场绿色市场开设年头已久啊，售卖当地的农产品和手工食品的摊位吸引了大批的人群。如果不是这个疫情的话，每周好像每个月有几次。会在联合广场有些organic 的农副产品会在这里售卖啊，所以说这里很有意思，是吧？好，给大家看看周围的这个周围的场景，是吧？大家看一看，是吧？这个是好，OK，这里是这个George Washington 的骑马的雕像啊，也是全美第一座。华盛顿骑高头大马的铜像啊。现在来了很多的国际媒体和这个国际大媒体和这个周围广场四周啊，都布满了各种各样的国际大媒体，是吧？You want to go up there? You okay here? I'm okay right here. Okay. 等一会儿，这个我们亚裔的市长候选人 Angel Young 杨安泽会发表这个讲话啊。
Damn. You're kind of in the shade.
Yes. Did you lose your voice?
He's a wanderer. He likes to wander around. He'll find us. Oh, my friend Carlos said I know my day off. He wants to come tonight. He woke up yesterday not feeling well.
I seen I tried. Not there yet.
Oh. I love hugs, but I don't know.
There comes the Patterson out of here.
这个是由这个一些组织，但是杨安泽新闻团队是发了这个新闻稿给我们啊，就是说今天会发表讲话，对。联合广场是美国纽约曼哈顿联合广场是美国纽约州纽约市曼哈顿的一个重要广场，位于百老汇大道和第四大道交汇处是在 Broadway 和这个百老汇大道和这个，它是位于百老汇大道和第四大道的交汇处。它得名不是由于庆祝联邦的联合，而是由于指出此处是岛上两条主要大街的交汇处和几条电车线交汇处的事实联邦联合只是说百老汇大道和第四大道的交汇处。NYC Square纽约最重要的这个广场联合广场因位于广场上，联合广场因为位于广场上的美国第一任总统乔治·华盛顿骑高头大马的雕塑而知名就是这个铜像这个华盛顿骑高头大马的铜像而得名，是全美第一座也是美国第一尊骑马的青铜雕塑这一尊骑马的青铜雕塑。和知名以外，这个面积广阔的市场也因龙猫市场而得名。每周的如果不是疫情的话，每周的1、3、6和周日对外开放。还有一个农贸市场，都是大家这个从这个农场运来的 organic 的这个各种有机食物都在这里来进行贩售每周的1、3、6和周日对外开放，上午8点到下午的18点，也就是6点上午8点到下午的是市场开放时间。联合广场，来自四面八方的小贩来此兜售自家农场种植的新鲜有机瓜果蔬菜，每天约有6万多人每天会有6万多人来参观和购物，使其成为世界最知名的市场之一有个联合广场，而且还有一个联合广场的一个有个农贸市场联合广场如果不是疫情的话，1、3每周的1和3、6日都有农贸市场这是一个，因为这个让各个小贩来兜售自家的农副产品，然后每天约有 如果不是疫情的话啊，1、3、6日的话，每天会有6万人来参观和购物啊，也是一个景点了，是吧？联合广场也是市民的重要的一个地点，是吧？联合广场的周围还有众多的餐馆和酒吧，为观光的游客提供了竞赛和娱乐的场所啊。这是联合广场 ，OK。Union Square, yeah. Here is Manhattan Union Square, yeah. I have a protest here. Thank you. 我站在这边，我到前面。你在这里来哇？你没信号吗？进去以后你们看了没？我去一下，你先看。我去看一下。OK，thank you。好，我给大家前面转一下啊。OK，安吉尔和布鲁克林啊，这是杨安州团队给我们发来的新闻稿啊，就是反对这个仇恨犯罪啊和这个非洲和亚裔团结对抗仇亚暴力的集会活动。这次是亚裔和非洲裔联合起来对抗反对这个仇视亚裔的一个这个活动啊。这个活动非常大啊，规模非常大，全美各地啊，在同时，在今天是纽约，在同时还在这个洛杉矶、波士顿和这个西雅图还有华盛顿都举行在同一时间同时举行各种抗议活动啊。现在信号好吗？信号好的话打个1，谢谢。如果信号打个1，如果不好的话打个2。谢谢。If your quality is okay, press the 1. Or if you're bad, if you're not, if you're bad, press the 2. OK， 谢谢。我们看啊，今天先到场的主要是亚裔非裔，也有一些美国其他族裔的人群啊。这里就是14街Union Square Station 这里是14街的 Union Square Station NQRWL 456 yeah。这里是14街的这个this is Union Square Station the subway， 这就是纽约的地铁站有很多国际的大媒体也已经过来了很多国际的大媒体我们也给他拍一下国际大媒体都已经，这是哪个台的？我们看一下周围很多的国际的著名媒体都已经过来了王卫村长你好。
Hey, I thought he was supposed to sleep for a minute. Hey, yo, no, don't get me wrong, though. I'm drunk.
我们周围沿着联合广场稍微走一下今天的活动是这个要求大家是穿这个黑色或者白色的上衣然后一个是为了这个悼念在这个亚特兰大悼念在亚特兰大去世的这个亚裔受害人。我能看一下你这个牌子吗 ？Sorry， OK，Thank you. Stop. Yeah. You speak Chinese or Korean or English?
Not me. I don't speak Chinese.
English is okay. Why you come here? Yeah, Eaststar TV. Yeah.
I'm coming here just because to spread awareness about the injustices that have been happening to minorities all over America.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Where you come from? Where you?
I am from Texas, but my parents are from Vietnam.
Texas.
Yeah.
Vietnam. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. 啊，越南的啊，这位是越南裔的啊，越南裔的这个小妹妹啊 ，Young 啊 Young。Texas 是吧？现在这个广场的周围广场周围还有还有这个非裔美国人也是参加了这个反对的行列啊，也加入这个反对仇恨种族歧视这个行列是吧？反对种族歧视，反对这个仇恨亚裔是吧？
Well, not us, but local leaders. Not us. We take care of ourselves.
Stop Asian Hate 啊，大家都举着这个牌子啊，Stop 就是停止伤害亚裔是吧？好，现在游行队伍可能从这里出发，要从这里开始要出发啊。 很多国际的大媒体啊都已经过来了啊。
I'm sorry. Hold on, guys.
Hold on, thank you. Thank you. You speak Chinese? Oh.
Yes.
哦，你们今天来到这里联合广场是为了什么？跟大家说一下，今天来到时代广场的目的呀。哦，联合广场呀，这个队是停止伤害亚裔是吧？
是为了停止对亚裔，所有人都是平等的。
好，谢谢你啊，谢谢。啊，咱们亚裔打出了标语啊 ，Stop Asian Hate 啊，就是停止这个，今天是一个最坏的一天是吧？现在这个美国总统拜登也宣布啊，美国将办起悼念这个受害者啊，要谈到受害者。OK，Thank you，Thank you very much，yeah。
This is a run to protest. This is not an event. It is a protest. Running the protest team is to agree that we all share one common thing, and that's fighting racism.
我们在联合广场现在是采访。你在哪儿？对，你在哪儿？你没去啊？我以为你去淘宝了嘛。没有听到呀，没有任何电话。我们那不管。你要打电话，我不太微信的。那个，你这样子等一会儿，我们就直接去12点钟了。现在在直播，12点钟去那个。不是，他说你去了 ，Alex 不讲你去了。OK， 他说你OK， 那我在直播，等会儿再说啊。
That tomorrow and every day after is a greater and better day, because when we leave here, we're going to be on the same understanding of sharing common ground together as one, not just as an Asian American, not just as an African American, but as a American. That's what running to protest is all about. in case you was misinformed. But now that you know, because I am the founder along with Power Malou, and we have Dawi Chow, we have Prabhu Guru, and we have Phil Wilson. I haven't seen Phil yet, and I know he's here. I need him here. Phil, can you come up here for a second? Prabhu, can you come over here for a second? I have Dawi Chow here, and I have Power Malou here. The 5 of us, this is why we are here. And the Running the Protest team. Running the Protest, Black and Asian Solidarity came about a month ago. This is our 10th Running to Protest. We knew a month ago that we was doing this. I walked up to Dawi and let Dawi know that we see what's happening. We want to make sure that we touch this topic, and we wanted to touch it the appropriate way. Dawi introduced me and Power to Prabhu and Philip, and that's why you guys are here now. And in front of you guys, I just want to make sure that I turn around and I thank them for that. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Korea, Asian people here. Yeah.
Do we run? Yes, we do run. We run after the speakers speak. We will be having a 5K. We know I have been questioned a lot how fast. It's a very casual pace. But understand this. The topic that we're talking about today is far more important than the run that we will be doing after. Because what we are speaking about is saving people's lives. Because at the end of the day, I have kids, and I want to make sure that they're not fighting the same battle that I'm fighting. And I'm pretty sure you want the exact same thing for your kids. I see some of you out here with your own kids, and we want to make sure that we acknowledge the exact right thing for them so they can know what's right from wrong. And in order to determine what's right from wrong, you have to hear what's wrong first so you can know that that's right. We have a lot of people that don't believe in coming together. We have a lot of people that believe in fighting one another. We have a lot of people that will look you straight in your eye as if you're a criminal or as if you're a crook, and the first thing they do is label not just Black America, but Asian America as thugs too. But when white supremacists do what they want to do, oh, they have a mental illness problem. Fuck no, that's not the issue. The issue is that white America needs to understand white terrorists. They need to approach white supremacy the way that it is, because they're getting away with everything under the sun, all the way to following up to Capitol Hill. And you gotta know, if that was one of us, we wouldn't be here to talk about it today. And we're not gonna let that change the scope or the friendship that we actually have amongst one another. Some of you might not understand or like what I have to say. I'm okay with that, because you shouldn't like what everybody have to say. Again, what I repeated 2 minutes ago, you have to understand what's wrong to know what's right. And all of us don't think the same. But what I do want to make sure is that we leave here under the same umbrella, knowing that we want you guys to live just like we want to live. And that's why we are here. Do you guys understand that? Do you guys understand that? There's too many people here for me to ask, do you understand that? And I barely can hear an answer. Do you guys understand that? So, I'm going to introduce, no, I'm not going to introduce. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to start from there. And the minute that we are done, we will turn around, we will pass it over to Luis. Luis will be the last person to speak. There are bikers here. If you see the bikers, make sure that you know that they are very important to every protest that we do. They are the ones that put their lives on the front lines when it comes to stopping traffic, so we can cross and we can be safe. And I guarantee each and every one of you that are here today, you are in a safe place with us. You best believe that. We're going to make sure that we take care of each and every one of you. I appreciate you guys for attending. And again, this is a Running to Protest protest. We are fighting for the same things. We want everybody to understand and know that we all want to be here, and we will, and we're going to try our best to stop Asian hate, and you have my word on that. Thank you.
Give it up one more time for my partner in running to protest, that coffee boy. Peace, everyone. My name is Power. Power Malu. Let's not allow these tragedies to further divide the people. We must come together to unlearn the lies, share resources, and better understand one another. Look around you. We need to be okay with holding each other accountable in order to dismantle these systems that keep us divided. Our accountability is a threat to their stability. I beg you all to not allow this to just be a moment. Really use this opportunity to look in your inner mirror. There may be some media attention on this now, but it's up to us to continue having the dialogue about these systems that push the fear-mongering, which cause people to hate whom and what they don't even know. Ask yourself, how many oppressive white supremacist systems still exist because we support them? We can change these systems for good, but we really have to be honest with ourselves first and foremost. What we are protesting and fighting against stems from a bunch of systems that were built on the foundation of racism and white supremacy, period. These systems may have been created by white racists, but are being upheld by people from all backgrounds and nationalities. That is what we must continue to call out and work towards dismantling. They've been playing off of people's fear and banking on keeping us nervous and afraid of each other. We must not allow ourselves to be influenced by stereotypes created by those very systems that amplify our differences and not our similarities in order to keep us divided. I want you to know that you have a role to play in this movement for change. We all have a role to play, and every single role is vital. It's bigger than one individual or one organization. We must evolve and pave the way for the next ones to come. We must consistently show up for ourselves and each other. We must share resources and information with each other. Have conversations that debunk the myths around other races and nationalities. Call out the ignorance. Call out people that perpetuate hate towards others, whether at work, at school, family gatherings, and any and all social circles you may be a part of. There has to be a change in how we view each other. Put the ego aside. The ego won't allow you to accept that you're wrong. The ego won't allow you to see that what you've been taught all your life about others has been a lie. The ego won't allow you to have empathy. It won't allow you to be humble enough to acknowledge that it's bigger than you. We need each other. We need each other to create that change, to create new models, and to create new systems. Together, we will be taking the steps in that direction. This is what they are afraid of. They don't want us to unite. We come from different tribes and nations so that we may recognize each other, not despise one another. We may be diverse, but not divided. Now, I want to close with a quote.
Asian men are victims too. Fuck the mainstream media and their bullshit.
I want to close with a quote from a great writer, social activist, philosopher, and feminist, Grace Chin Lee Boggs. For those who may not know, Grace Lee Boggs was born on June 27, 1915, to Chinese immigrant parents in Providence, Rhode Island. Not only was she a key figure in the Asian American movement, but she married African American auto worker and political activist James Boggs in 1953. And along with her husband, she focused on civil rights and Black Power movement activism. Grace Lee was 100 years old when she passed away on October 5th, 2015. 3 years before her passing, the Chinese Progressive Association in San Francisco held an event titled Building the Next American Revolution, a celebration and tribute to Grace Lee Boggs. At that event, Grace Lee Boggs said the following: we need to grow our souls. We need to find that balance of life that respects each other, that thinks that the most important thing at this time on the clock of the world is not our accumulation of things, is not economic growth, which threatens and imperils all life on this planet, including ourselves. That the time has come to grow our souls, to grow our relationships with one another, to create families that are loving, and to create communities that are loving, to bring the neighbor back into the hood. There are so many ways in which we can grow our souls and the souls of those around us. Show me what community looks like.
This is what community looks like.
Tell me what community looks like.
This is what community looks like.
Show me what community looks like.
This is what community looks like.
Tell me what community looks like.
This is what community looks like.
Peace and blessings.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Thank you, Power. My name is Dowie Chow. I'm excited. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
So before I start, I want to have a moment of silence for the victims of the
shootings in Atlanta this past week. I'm gonna pronounce their names because so many of their names have been butchered in the media coverage. And part of the issue is that, people don't take the time, that these names are too foreign, too hard for you to pronounce. And so you have the erasure there when the names aren't said. So I'm gonna do my best to pronounce their names. Dao Yo Fung, Hyun Jun Grant, Soon Chun Kim, Paul Andre Michaels, Soon Chung Park, Xiao Jie Tan, Delana Ashley Yuan, and Yong Yue. A moment of silence.
哎，多少人？好，我等会儿在接了你就走。你在哪个地方？你要先。我看看，等一下，我们12点到，那个布鲁克林去，你一个小时。
We come together today as a community, as a shared community. You take a look around at your neighbor left and right. This is what community looks like. This is what it looks like. And when we build community, you have to remember these faces. We come together as a community today in fear, in anguish, in outrage, in terror, but more importantly, in support of one another. We have to acknowledge, first and foremost, that the institutions that continue to murder, incarcerate, and oppress Black lives are the same institutions that allowed for the killings that happened in Atlanta. That's first and foremost.
They don't give a fuck about us. I swear to God, they never take any reports on my shit.
Secondly, we have to acknowledge the long history of Asian and Black solidarity. From the activists that Power spoke about, Grace Lee Boggs, to Yuri Koshiyama, to the Third World Liberation Front, to the Black protests in the Vietnam War, to the Black solidarity that helped welcome back Japanese Americans back from their internment camps. That solidarity exists. There's a history of it. We've supported each other throughout history. But somewhere along that course, there was the introduction of what's known as the model minority myth that pitted communities of colors against each other. That said, that placed value on certain communities. That this minority group was good and this minority group was bad. And that started a division. But there's also been the history within the Asian community of silence, of selected solidarity, of assimilation to white adjacency, that's driven that wedge deeper between the two communities. And so today is a day of reckoning within the Asian American community, to recognize our complicity in upholding the institutions of white supremacy. Today we have to interrogate our own anti-Blackness that exists in our community. And as we stand here asking for solidarity, as we stand here calling out to other communities of color, to Black and brown brothers and sisters to stand with us, that we have to recognize our own privilege and anti-Blackness that has existed for decades. That we have to understand that any progress that we have towards defeating Asian hate is inextricably tied to the progress of our black and brown brothers and sisters. We cannot separate the two. So I know a lot of you guys have come out today to hopefully hear about how can we protect our people better? How can we protect our community better? How can we look out for our elders? How can we stop the violence? Well, we can start with rejecting calls for heavier policing. We can start by rejecting calls for a carceral state. We can stop the perpetuation of black criminality within our own community. That's how we start to make our community safe, because we cannot be safe until everybody is safe. You have to understand that. Yo, it's dope to see the energy and the faces, the Asian faces out here. That same energy is easy to come with when the violence lands on our doorstep. But we gotta have that same energy. We should have been had that same energy throughout last summer with BLM. So you showing up here, you better continue to come show up. Yes. Not just to end Asian hate, but to end black hate. That's the way you move forward. So yes, so today we're coming together to call for solidarity. We're coming together to call for the end of Asian hate and the violence against Asians. We're calling out to stop scapegoating us for the COVID virus. But yo, that same energy and the same anger and the same hurt and the same outrage that you have, we gotta spread it out. We gotta show up. So thank you for showing up today. Thank you to my black and brown brothers and sisters for always showing up. This ain't a call for y'all, this is a call within our own community. Take yourself. Check your family members for anti-blackness. Because as Power said, they don't want to see us come together. They don't want to see this happen. Understand why communities have been pitted against each other and painted the way that they've been painted to separate us. But we are far too powerful when we're together. Peace and power to the people.
About 2 weeks ago, I interviewed Breonna Taylor's mother and her sister for the 1-year anniversary of her being murdered by the police while she was sleeping in her own apartment. To this day, 2 police officers were fired, but no one has been charged.
Come here!
Sorry.
You gotta yell.
Sorry, okay, I'm gonna yell.
There you go. The mic.
Somebody fix the mic! Okay. All right. About 2 weeks ago, I interviewed Breonna Taylor's mother for the 1-year anniversary of her being murdered by the police department while she was sleeping in her own apartment. To this day, 2 police officers were fired, but no one has been charged. This past week, it has completely broken my heart. I have been crying and I have been upset to see these 6 Asian women murdered, and not because of someone having a bad day, like the sheriff said, but because of white supremacy. We have to call this what it is, and I am begging all of you to call this domestic terrorism, and this is a hate crime. They're going to continue to foster for generations to come. I am so sick and tired of seeing marginalized communities like ours become the next headline. I'm tired of us accepting mediocre support and allyship from white people and expecting perfectionism from our own community. We have to come together and be active and loud in this allyship. I'm pleading with everyone here to realize that they want us to be divided. That's what white supremacy has survived on, us not supporting each other. Yep. We owe it to our ancestors. We owe it to everyone that has come before us, that has led the pathway for us to do this better, to do this together. They're counting on us not to speak up. They're hoping that this moment fades. And it's up to us to show that this movement will fight until there's freedom for every single person. Usually at this time, I would be at church. I was talking to Philip about this earlier. And one of my favorite Bible verses says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And I know that if we stand together, solidarity, this joy will come. Thank you all so much.
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Give yourself a round of applause.
We can't hear you. Take off your mask.
It was a hell of a long week.
No.
Take
off your
mask. Thank you so much. I hope you're taking this
Take
care
your
of
mask
yourself.
off.
I hope you give yourself place and space to mourn these people.
We can't hear you.
Take off your mask! Oh,
I hope you give yourself some kind of grace and space to mourn the 8 people in Georgia whose lives were cut short at the hands of a madman who walked into a gun store to get the gun hours before he hunted innocent people. 6 of them Asian immigrant women who looked like us. Sorry.
It's louder.
You guys,
I know.
As we mourn their murders, remember that in our own city, we have had our grandmas set on fire and punched in the face. Our brothers stabbed and slashed across the face, sisters thrown into light poles, hard enough to pass out. And let's remember that 700 reports of hate incidents that our community family has been subject to since last year. 700, but I know for a fact that that is a huge undercount because our community never complains. It is time to start complaining, and it is time to start letting people.
Yes!
We are enduring verbal harassment, spitting, the shoving, every bullshit you can think of.
Yes!
Friday afternoon, my organization organized a peace rally right here and around. I was sitting right over there with some of my staff members, waiting for our friends, colleagues to arrive. A man walks by and says some of the most toxic sexual shit. You know, this is the shit that we deal with, right, sisters? I know all the sisters. I can't believe that we are mourning the deaths of immigrant workers, and yet we still have to endure sexualized, fetishized bullshit from toxic men. And that's gotta stop.
Say it again.
This beautiful morning, as you walk and run, please let each step be taken to be a reminder of your personal prayer you offer up not only for for the 8 Atlanta victims and their families, but for every incident reported, every comment that degrade us, the barrage of microaggressions that assume that we are not Americans because of the shape of our eyes and the language we speak at home. Let every step we take this morning be a vow to protect all of our elders who are afraid to leave their homes, for our kids who are bullied at school and at the playgrounds, for all the sisters who can't escape the disgusting gaze and comments that we constantly endure, and for all the brothers who are emasculated by society. Let's vow that this will be the start of an awakening in our community. Knowing the potential hate that waits us outside of our own doors, but never sitting down and never backing down. We will get through this together. We will smash racism and white supremacy. We will continue to stand up for Black lives. We will win, and we will never back down to the faces of hate. Thank you, everyone.
I am Roderick Covington from Unite, New York. With my brother Will here from Asians for Black Lives Matter. The people united will never be divided. I said the people united will never be divided. So let's not allow the media, who is controlled by whiteness, to paint a picture of how Black people need to be an ally. We are not allies to one another. We are co-conspirators together as a collective people committed to end white supremacy. My Asian brother Will, right here, and I have been organizing countless protests for BLM. He has always been a co-conspirator in the movement.
Right.
Turn to your neighbor and say co-conspirator. Let me be clear. This rally is not a reactionary rally to the recent racist shooting. Brother Kofi planned this solidarity rally before the racist killing in Atlanta. I say this because the people before you are not speaking because it is now popular to speak out against Asian hate.
That part.
Whatever brought you here today, let it keep you fighting for racial justice and social equity tomorrow.
Right.
My husband is Asian, Filipino to be exact. It infuriates me. It infuriates me to see my Asian brothers and sisters experience the trauma and pain that I have personally faced as a Black man in America. It hurts me to see my Asian brothers and sisters experience the confusion of why the attacks continue to happen over and over and over, and the system won't identify it as a hate crime. That in itself is white supremacy controlling America. Black people share your outrage and the confusion you feel when violent racist killings happen and the police nicely arrest the white terrorist, then humanizes him by communicating that he was just having a bad day instead of calling him out. We know all too well what you are going through, because white supremacy has been terrorizing us since the inception of America. Black and Asian solidarity means we are standing together, seeing each other equally, committed to dismantle white supremacy that plagues the both of us. I encourage all of you now, today, to allow the anger, pain, outrage, trauma that you are feeling be the coal in your fire to burn, not to only stop Asian hate, but start radical Asian love so deep that it eradicates white supremacy.
多少点？拜拜。I can sit louder. Woo!
Mic check, mic check.
There you go.
Yeah!
Yay!
Mic check, mic check. I just want to make sure you can hear me. So, first, we can eradicate white supremacy by first radically loving ourselves. By radically seeing ourselves as equal, not subjugating ourselves as less than or a minority to whiteness. See, by radically loving ourselves, we get to deal with the white internal whiteness from within and eradicate it. Because it is internal whiteness that has allowed Asian and black people not to see each other as equal.
Right.
Because internal whiteness is a part of us that seeks to assimilate because of the idea that white is better, white has it easier, or it's what white success looks like. But this is the generation that will no longer be divided.
Right.
This is the generation that is going to unify and end white supremacy. If you look at the percentage breakdown of race in America, although Asians make up roughly 6%, if we unify with Black, Latinx, Native American, and anti-racist people, we are the majority. And with the majority of BIPOC and anti-racist people in America, we must be committed in dismantling white supremacy. That's the only way we will stop Asian hate. That's the only way Black lives will matter. That's the only way we can then create a new justice system in America where all people are treated equally. It is equality that we seek. It is equality that we demand, and we demand it now. What do we want? When do we want it? Now. What do you want? Justice. When do you want it? Now. What do you want? Justice. When do you want it? Now. What do you want? Justice. When do you want it? Now. If we don't get it, shut it down. You don't get it, shut it down. You don't get it, shut it down. You don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. Check, check, check. Mic check, mic check. How you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Look around you. Look how beautiful this is.
Yup.
All right, this is incredibly beautiful. All right, I've been organizing marches and rallies to stand up against anti-Asian hate and racism since August of 2020, when an 89-year-old grandmother was attacked, poured kerosene on, and lit on fire. And no one did anything about it. No one, not the NYPD, not the elected officials, not even a statement. It was so like, how this heinous freaking crime? Why? And as the year went on. We marched, we screamed, and the attacks kept going. And it's so painful that, so much of the attacks, the violence had come, from our, like people of color. It was so painful. Because we're in this fight together. We're in this fight together. I was organizing Asians for Black Lives marches with my brother, Roderick, to bridge our communities because historically, we've been fighting side by side together for many of the civil rights that we enjoy today. But by design, somehow, in the broader sense of our communities, those lines of communications have been lost through the years and the generations. And so that's why it's so important for everyone to be here, to show the world what community looks like. Show them what community looks like. I was just down, I just organized a rally in Atlanta yesterday, and in response to the killings, and for many people, even though we've been screaming or whatever, this is the first time they're hearing about Asian people going through racism or going through violence. We're so invisible. The way we're treated in our country has been going on for over 100 years. But we're invisible, we're ignored, no one cares about us, leading to apathy in our own community about ourselves. So when we were marching, we weren't just marching to get everyone else aware of this crime to care. We're trying to get our own people to care. You know how difficult? It's so painful, it's so difficult. So what is it gonna take? It took an elderly, 84-year-old man, Thai grandfather, to get murdered for people to be aware. It took 6 Asian women massacred and murdered for people to care. What else is it going to take? When are we going to see change? When are we going to wake the fuck up? Yeah! Wake up! I see and I know every one of you are impassioned because of what you see right now. And it's great. There's rallies all over the country right now. But this is a motherfucking marathon. Alright? So pace yourself. See what you can give every single day. If it's 10 minutes, then do that 10 minutes every motherfucking day. Alright? Every single one of us here. So I had the fortune to connect with James Woodall, the president of the Georgia NAACP, and I'm pretty sure. Okay. So there is coalition building that is happening behind the scenes with the NAACP, with the National Action Network, and we're building this Black and Gold coalition. And so we can advance together. So we can move forward together because we have shared struggles. And all marginalized people combined, we are the majority. We are the majority. So we gotta wise up. We need to unite and move forward together and bring back power to the people. That's it. All right? Power to the people! 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 Thank you.
没对华裔代表吗？
要可能是韩裔的，
啊？
可能是韩国的。
如果到他手上就不响了。12点。马上快到12点钟。
Test。
我们绕一下，绕一下，我们改善一下。
对。
Test。
Thank you. How's everyone feeling today?
咱们先不要谈论其他东西，我们今天讲这个团结起来反对这个大家团结啊！咱们先不讲别的好不好？先谈谈这个事，共同来一致对外反对这个仇视亚裔的行为，自己还没有那个啊，大家团结，不要。
You can't stop the revolution.
You 不要先去搞自己的内斗。
You can't stop the revolution.
You can't stop the revolution.
That is a chant that Black people said in the streets during the Civil Rights Movement and also to this very day. We talk about our history and we need to remember it, because if we don't remember it, then history repeats itself. How many of you guys know the name of Latasha Harlan? Not enough. I only seen about 4 hands. Latasha Harlan was a 15-year-old black teen who was killed and murdered inside of a Korean store. I say this because we have a history, and that is the same divisive history that has led to this very movement now of why we need to be in solidarity. Why we need to remember our history so it does not repeat itself. Why it does not happen over and over again, so that we remember that we bleed the same, regardless of our color. You can be pink, purple, blue, we bleed blood. We bleed red. When we talk about community and we talk about showing up, show up for the Black and brown Asian people as well. If Black and brown Asian people are not a part of your movement, can you say Asian lives matter? No, you cannot. If Black people are not a part of your movement, can you say Black lives matter? We need to remember the intersectionalities of this fight. We need to remember that if all people are not equal, how will we ever get to the road of revolution? We are on a marathon, we are on a movement. This is not a moment in history. They will not turn the page on us the same way they turned the page when I was learning about the Korean history and internment camps inside of school. When I was learning about the own Black Lives Matter movement and how they tried to villainize us. In schools in American history, we are taught how each of our communities are villainized. And that is the same way they keep us oppressed. A dear friend of mine told me once that the way they keep us oppressed is by villainizing the oppressed. And that is exactly how the oppressor always wins. They turn us against each other for so long, yet they don't realize that you guys all live inside of our own communities. We all hold the same exact non-power inside of America, so let's really talk about it. When you're showing up to these movements inside of history, and we're showing up and we're screaming Black Lives Matter, Asian Lives Matter, see who is on the front lines. There are Asian communities and Asian people forming BLM protests for Black people like me. That is what community looks like. That is what America looks like. America likes to pride itself on being a quote-unquote melting pot. This is not a melting pot to me. This is humanity to me. This is what society is supposed to look like. We like to imagine ourselves as this idealized community that was so successful and so amazing, and this is where people need to be. Look at us. This is where community needs to be. This is the community that we need to see 24/7.
We'll meet you after.
There was an elderly Asian man who was pushed down by police officers to the point where he died.
was so heartbreaking, but it was not surprising. It is the truth that Black people live through every single day. What is happening to the Asian community is so traumatizing to the Black community because it has happened to us every single day. And the reason I'm not surprised by what is happening to the Asian community is because the only reason we know about it now is because it is caught on camera. The revolution will not be televised. They will not see us hurting. They will not see us harming each other. They will not see us hurt in the streets any single moment unless it is recorded and put on our Instagram feeds. That is the only time we see it. But that does not mean that it is not happening. They do not realize that revolutionary change and radical change is happening today, and it was happening yesterday, and it was happening the day before yesterday. So I say this to say, whenever you're showing up, show up for people who don't even look like you. If you only came out for Asian Lives Matter, but did not come out for BLM, you're part of the problem. If you only came out for BLM, but not Asian Lives Matter, you're part of the problem. Show up for people who don't look like you, because we are all the same at the end of the day. You can't stop the revolution! 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 I'm not hearing a lot of conviction with this. I need y'all to say it in the chat, okay? You can't stop the revolution! 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 Justice? No peace! Said no justice? No peace! No justice? No peace! No justice! Peace and blessings.
All right, guys. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Temperature rise. Is everyone okay? There's too many people for me to just hear the people behind me say yes. Is everyone okay? Yes! Can everyone hear me? Yes! All right. 3 more speakers. Tie your laces. We're going to be out. 3 more speakers. Tie your laces. We're going to be out.
Thank you.
Make sure that you're here and you
I'll take an hour each.
To all my Asian family members, sisters, and brothers that have voted for Trump, wake up. Wake up. Right? Do not lose hope. Don't even think about what he did was right. Just because the Democrats are more liberal, we believe in gay marriage. They have every right. I don't want to name names, but I definitely don't see that voting on and that's just not right. And even for Nancy Pelosi to be on her knees, it's showing, it's recognizing what has happened in the past.
这个是讲中文还是讲啊？I'm not aware.
She's still there.
Not aware.
Still there. She and Gina are really still. I love Arlene. She's so sweet. You know what's wrong.
你好，你可以说中文吗？你好，Star TV， 你可以说中文吗？
会。
OK。
因为我中文讲的没有很好，就是。
没关系，没问题，没问题。我是 Star TV， 因为你举这个牌子是为什么今天来到这个现场啊？今天的联合国。OK。今天为什么来到现场？然后你为什么举着这个牌子？
我今天来是因为我的妈妈、我的姑姑、我的家人，我们的通通的亚洲人被欺负、被打、被骂。我们根本就没有做任何事情错，所以他们这样子做是不对的。我们已经受够了这个hate，这个暴力。 所以我今天才来，我今天也是代表这些前天被枪打死的人，他们只是他们就是普通的人，在上班辛苦，想要赚钱给家里的人，他们并没有做任何的不对的事情，所以被这样子欺负是我们很生气，也不是生气，就是
英文也可以，英文也可以。
英文可以 ，right?
Yeah.
You know, it's dehumanizing. You know, nothing can justify hate. Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
So I'm here on behalf of my family, my community, and immigrants, all the innocent lives, all the people that were attacked. I'm here for them. I stand for them. And we got to do something about it. We have an opportunity here. You know, let's educate ourselves, learn about Asian culture. Talk to your teachers, have them incorporate Asian history. Talk about immigration, talk about Chinese laborers. Have these dialogues, create focus groups. Have your family members come out. Have conversations at home. It's so important that we do the work so that for our children's sake. So time is now. 谢谢。
OK， 谢谢你。你怎么称呼？怎么称呼你？
殷丽涵。
殷丽涵是吧？你是从小来美国还是？
对，我是在台湾生8岁来美国的。
哦，台湾生8岁来美国的。
对。
而且我看你制作了这个牌子 ，Stop Asian Hate， 这专门制作这个牌子还是这个？
这是我的朋友做的。
朋友专门做的啊，非常好。
这是他女儿的画画。
非常好，谢谢你啊，谢谢你来到现场啊。哎呦，谢谢，我是 eStar TV， 你到时候到 YouTube 看 eStar TV，
好，
第一直播，好不好？你在这我给你拍个照片，可不可以做我的封面啊？你举起来 ，OK。好，谢谢100啊，我们台湾8岁来到这里，谢谢你啊，就是咱们亚裔的声音啊，我是 eStar TV 第一直播，我是在纽约的联合广场为大家报道的，谢谢你，咱们亚裔的声音啊，从这个牌子就能看到，谢谢100，也谢谢100送给我这个Stop Asian Hate 啊这个牌子，非常感谢 ，Thank you very much 啊，我们今天就结束今天的直播啊，我们现在就结束今天的直播啊，等一会儿我们最后给100拍个照片，100，谢谢大家记住这位，等一会儿再举一下，我们大家记住她啊，记住100这位美丽善良的女孩，谢谢你 ，OK， 好。我们今天就结束。现在有那个 eStar TV，eStar TV，OK，eStar TV eStar 第一直播，好不好？大家看，因为他们都知道我。哎，好 ，OK， 谢谢。咱们今天结束今天直播，因为我们要等一会儿去那个布鲁克林有第2场的直播啊，谢谢。eStar。OK， 你上去看，华人社区都知道我，谢谢。对，谢谢啊，谢谢你们来，好，谢谢。